everyone, welcome to another episode of Forest Friends, the podcast series where I invite one special guest with me, or maybe a few in the future, to really talk about anything that the forest or the weather is feeling. In today's episode, it just wouldn't be right if I didn't invite someone who has inspired me and has really made me the person I am today. Not only are they an incredible storyteller, or not an incredible person, but they have released the absolute banger that is Beasty Abandons. And we're here today to dive into what it actually is. Joined by me today is Saint Story, but some of you may recognize them as Rosalina. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, it's so flattering. Thank you for having me, honestly. Oh my god, that's such an introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Lucifer, but I do play a character as Rosalina the Alien, and I upload ETN content. So yeah, that's the entire basis of myself, I guess.
So in this episode, we're just here to describe, or really just talk to you. I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself, about some projects you're doing, things you might have been in the past, and just see who you are, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that everyone has been thinking, I can guarantee you've been thinking one way or another, what was the inspiration behind Beasty Abandons?
I mean, it's weird to think that, I was inspired to do Beasty Abandons because it kind of came out of like nowhere, personally. I originally wanted to do something like, when I used to have this series called Sweet Sorcery, I used to think that I wanted to go that route, but I just wanted to try and challenge myself even further. So it just came in about with, I wanted to, try different things. And maybe the idea of an abandoned area seemed very just like intriguing to me. And I was able to explore more about, what's considered to be, in terms of abandoned, in terms of what I would consider beastie. Henceforth, it's called Beasty Abandons. Yeah. So to me, that's the general inspiration, I guess. I don't really have much of an inspiration to it. I'd say it came out of nowhere.
One of the things that made me so engaged and inspired to not only take part as a helper, but to also just watch the series generally, because you took an original concept created by Joe Gacepo. So he's the one who originated Escape the Night, right? So for you to just take that concept and completely flip the entire idea on its head to produce something which is so fresh and so entertaining to look at. Because don't get me wrong, sometimes watching the same kind of premises over and over again in different variations, it's interesting to see what people can come up with, but one way or another, it does kind of stay within that same boundary. But you broke the boundary by a landslide, which is why so many people favour yours over so many others.
That's so nice to hear, honestly. I do like the idea of, whenever people say, oh, Escape the Nights have always been very... I hear people say they're getting repetitive and, anything that's, But to me, I always like to add something different. Like, if it's repetitive, I am going to offer something new to the table. You've always
done that.
Yes, I've always enjoyed doing things that not a lot of people would expect. Therefore, trying out different formats or trying out different storylines that's not that different in terms of, it's still Escape the Night, but to explore the different realms of just creating a storyline, creating an arc for...
Yeah.
And it's very fun because, trying out different stuff has always been, very interesting to me as a creator. And doing these sort of different ways of how people would not really perceive as Escape the Night, but still in touch with that entire narrative of you have to vote people in, you have to kill someone off every hour. I I do wish that my content comes across as unique in terms of, how the episodes are being portrayed. So yeah.
And you mentioned something about having a previous Skip the Night project called Sweet Sorcery. Would you mind elaborating a bit on that?
Yes. Oh God, there's a lot to talk about.
Is it?
Sweet Sorcery is just the first ever like Escape the Night project I've done, and it's very, I'd say, nostalgic if you were to look back in the history of my career of that. I had an amazing group of people who amazing group of friends that when we recorded this project, it became such like a well-known thing, which okay, yeah, I'm happy about that people actually enjoy it. But Sweet Sorcery was mainly, it had the same, somewhat of a similar storyline to Beasty Abandons. It's just that everything was so fresh, so it still somewhat was intact to the entire Escape the Night format. But as time went on, there were so many opportunities to try different things. Yeah, so that was mainly it in general.
So, if I remember correctly, within like a few of the episodes within Beasty Abandons, you incorporated the fact that some of the participants of Sweet Sorcery were now in Beasty Abandons, such as Teddy and Zold, correct?
Yes. Yep.
How did did you just want them? How did that storyline develop? Because realistically, you could have just wanted them to be in the cast and have them brand new, So, what kind of gave you that inspiration to tie together the storyline of Beastie Abandons being linked to a project that you stopped doing,
Oh, okay. So let's get this out the way. I mean, if anyone watching this, Beastie Abandons is not connected to Sweet Sorcery. I want to make it feel like Beastie Abandons was the first, it was like a completely new storyline that I wanted to do. Though, Sweet Sorcery was, I'd consider, very much of a pilot season. I don't consider it to be, connecting to the universe that we have now. So I'd say Beastie Abandons was very much fresh off the bat to me, at least.
Oh.
I don't consider that the Sweet Sorcery. Yeah.
I think it would just
a lot of people think that
people, because obviously Teddy and Zold both stated within the episodes that they had both died in the past. So naturally, depending on how long people have known the series for, or known you for, maybe they might have connected the dots or something. But that was just my guess.
Yeah, about that. When Teddy and Zold say that they died, I would say there's a lot planned going on. I will say there's a few things that I've had in mind. I'm not gonna say it out loud yet, but
that's fine.
Ideally, there's actually a whole different story that's linked to why Teddy and Zold had said that, and it's very much still in the works. But I believe you guys would get somewhat of an explanation to that maybe after the season ends. Who knows? I don't know.
Speaking of which, we are quite far into the season now. How many episodes did you plan on having Beastie Abandons be?
God, I originally wanted to just make it 10, but
right.
I know for a fact that it probably would not be, as long as 10 episodes, so I'm targeting for 12.
That is, that itself makes it quite unique. I mean, also because realistically, you had quite a big cast. So, yeah, your series has had quite a big cast. So one way or another,
yeah,
14 people, was it? 14?
14. Yeah, it's a very huge cast, and I love the idea of I know that a few people would disagree with me, but I think that there's a lot to work with when you come in a season with a huge amount of people. I mean, it's not very much everyone's cup of tea, which I completely understand. But the reason why I would love a huge number of people in a season is because I believe there's different types of characterizations and personalities for everyone to go through. It's not as if that, just because there's a lot of people in one season, it's not just a bash of everything at the same time. It's more interesting to explore different things because you're given that opportunity to explore it with the huge cast as there's more people to work with. So personally, when someone comes to me and say, you have a lot of people in the season, and I'm like, I know, and I was able to work with it because the chemistry between me and the Beasty Abandons cast has always been very much, I'd say, it's very much, we have a close connection. I'm really close with half of the people in the cast, and I still consider them like really good friends of mine, and that is already like a jump start for like how it's gonna go easily planned for me. And I genuinely believe that having to work with a large number of people I understand if it were to be stressful, but I took that upon as like a challenge for me to do, and I was just very much delighted to know that it was exciting to be able to work with a lot of different people with a lot of different reasons to be there. It seems as if everyone just played a character and went along with it. Yeah.
You sound
It's
so
really
you sound really proud of the project you've created, and there's no reason that you shouldn't be. Like, again, you're bringing something completely new and fresh to the table, which nowadays isn't really something that has been done in terms of the Escape at the Night. Like, yes, you're still sticking to like the roles and their outfits. Speaking of which, the main theme about the outfits, it wasn't really an era, as far as I know. It's more in terms of like the color scheme that was used, which was mainly white, black, and red. What gave you the idea to design everyone into those three colors? Because they all look incredible from what I know.
I mean, if you're talking about Beasty Abandons,
Yeah.
I generally would love, because a lot of people know me for being a person who's very much colorful and vibrant. So I just want to go against that.
It seems like you're doing the complete opposite.
Ideology. Yeah, it's like, okay, we're gonna switch things up a bit. Maybe what if we do this? Okay, maybe it's not everyone's favorite thing. It's fine, but I just would love the idea because we stuck with the theme of abandon so badly, like so much, to the point where everything was just dull, this and that. But then I, for one, think that like it's my version of quote unquote vibrant or colorful, even though it's mainly dull colors, because it's very just adventurous to be able to explore a theme that's not a lot of people would want to stick by with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like that a lot.
What inspired like where did the role ideas come from? Because you have quite a few roles that I don't think I've seen many people use, as far as my knowledge. Like, obviously the detectives has been used by the canon Escape the Night Map Pat. But
Yeah.
like the revolutionist, I'm trying to think now. The marionettist. Like those sort of roles I've never seen. What gave you the idea to combine Abandoned and then have these sorts of roles? Because with like as a seductress played by Amanda Marie, wouldn't people want to go see her? Like, So just having like a seductress just by herself would just be kind of funny.
Yeah, okay. when we come to the topic of roles and coming up with the idea of roles, I'm going to split it into a few categories.
Okay.
Some people would have been like, oh, I've had this role before in a previous project that's cancelled. I'm probably going to use it because it fits the theme, it fits with the cast, and it fits the vibe. So that's just one category. But another one would be like, oh, I got my amazing helper. Jupiter would help me out like with coming up with roles and ideas. I would also, I mean, me with a few other people, of course, Jupiter being included. I guess we would all have a discussion on which role we think would fit best. So that's category number 2. And for me, the final category would just be simply based on what I think would fit them due to their personality.
Right.
And because, Anna Marie, like, I've known them for so long, and they're just really, really intact with, their characterization being seductive. Like, they're very much, they capture that specific essence that they've always wanted to go for so long. So it's like, if you want to be a seductress, then it's best you go and live up to that role as it is. And I say they were pretty happy with the role they got. And yeah, that goes the same to like a lot of other people too.
I would say it's really important to make sure the cast is comfortable with the role, because in a sense itself, it is quite risky to put like some kind of seducing role into a project, you know what I mean? Because when not like done in a particular, like a certain way, it could rub audiences the wrong way, like, that sort of thing. So it's very like, it's very refreshing to know that it all kind of came full circle and it worked out really well.
It definitely was a risk, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people really did enjoy the people playing those roles, and I'm pretty sure the cast as well was very much intrigued with what they were given and what they came up with themselves. And as proof to that, I mean, if you were to tell, like, Lee, being one of the cast members, will always bring up the roles in every single drama they've been in the season. I remember this one specific line where Lee would be like arguing with Jupiter, and it was like, I'm a duchess, and what are you, a countess? What do you do, count coins? It was funny, and everyone was just so intact, and it was just interesting to watch it all fall in place, because everyone's just so like
it definitely
immersed in that experience,
It seemed that the roles were being utilized a lot more than most ETNs, because usually you just get given a role and an outfit, and you want to fit in, like in a visual wise. So it's very nice to see them actually taking up on those roles.
Yeah. And I mean, that's very like, it's very just enjoyable to see how this season turned out to be. To be honest, I'm very just happy to just have this experience as a creator.
To ask me. This is something I want to do in the podcast to make it not seem like, like if you're not asking anything, go ahead. If you can think of anything.
Let me think of something. Like, do you want like a very what type of question would you want? Because I can think of something quickly.
It really depends. Obviously, something fit into the topic of BTNs, of course. Maybe like your series, anything like that.
How about this? What was your experience like? Because everyone here knows that, I mean, you were a part of episode 0. You made a little appearance. How would you say, like, if you could describe your experience overall, what was it like filming episode 0?
It was absolutely incredible, because I've been in projects hosted by you for years. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now, So I had like this indication of what could happen. And like when you asked me if I wanted to take part in something like a recording, I was like, yeah, no problem, I don't have an issue with it. Only to find out that it would be for Beasty Abandons. Like this was like a few days, like a couple weeks or so after the trailer came out, and I saw the trailer. I was like, I need to be a part of this. Like I did, like I don't want this to sound selfish, but like it was amazing to not only be able to show myself off, like in terms of just acting, voice acting, and because you had a script, I didn't. Like I only went off the small, tiny little things you told me. So everything that people can see that happened in episode 0, on my perspective, that was all improvised.
Yeah, very. It's. I mean, I love the. I mean, what would you prefer? Do you prefer having a script? Because a lot of people, you know, everyone's different in terms of how they want to approach this camera setting. Would you rather have? Would you rather be someone who relies on the script, which is completely valid? If you would you want to have a script, or do you want it to be like improvised, or are you like in the middle?
I'm someone that's in the middle. It mainly more depends on what the moment is. Like if say for example, if you had the scene directed from start to finish, obviously I would have followed with what you told me to do, like fit line for line, that kind of thing. But if you're in a setting, like Escape the Night, if you're not one of the actors, like on the monsters, for example, like, you know, in the whole beginning bit, like, you know how it's like previously on Escape the Night and then the 10 days before they arrived, that kind of thing. That bit, those bits obviously would be scripted. Or when the monster would be talking to them, it would be scripted. Like, because I'm not sure I'm allowed to say it, but in one of the later episodes of the series, which will be out soon, maybe? I don't 100% know. I play one of the lieutenants. So I got given a proper script, so I got to experience it both ways. Obviously, that's when I was playing an actual character. When you're playing as yourself, it's just easier to improvise because you get to generally react to that situation.
Yeah, and can't wait for the people to know that which character you'll be playing. Like, I mean, you were a lieutenant, and yeah, the experience we had when you were on the show as a monster, I'd say that was probably, and I'm not going to exaggerate this, that's probably one of my favorite episodes.
Really?
I got to film.
Why
Yes, that episode. I don't know. It's just everything that happened. Again, we can't say much until the episode's out, but like that episode, just I don't know, has a special place in my heart. Like I feel like everything that happened in that episode, I'd say specifically, maybe when we're going to your part and the part after that, it was funny, but at the same time it was so like intense. And so, you know, there's an intense like upbringing when it comes to when everyone just stumbled upon your character. But yeah, I guess the viewers will have to wait until that comes out, because that's to me, that's so interesting. I'm so excited to like release this. So yeah.
People, like, here's the thing. I remember people might have been telling me something. It's like, I feel like someone asked me, how did you get on there? Like everyone kind of thought, like, I remember watching, do you remember it was like episode 0 was premiering for the first time. He had the live chat. It was either people were like, Chelsea Ben was at episode 0, because they generally thought I was like, it was going to be like a secret guest. Like, I was going to stay for longer, but I was only on the episode for like less than 15 minutes. I was only on screen for like less than 15 minutes.
I mean, episode 0 was like really important though, because it set the grounds for like how it was gonna go. Because you know, everything was explained, even though it was like, it's not that much of animation to explain it, but it set the grounds for like, oh, what's going to happen, what's going on, is this actually going to, it sets the vibe for the entire like season, to me especially. And I know you like that, you liked like being a part of it, which I'm grateful you did. But in truth, I do think that everything that was talked about in episode 0 plays a large role that affects the entire season as a whole. I can't say much more because
Yeah.
it's going to be connected to anything from future episodes leading to the finale as it is. So I can just satisfyingly say that episode 0 is just, I don't know, it also holds a very dearly place in my heart, because it's just very it's the very like first ever thing that's going to be aired on my YouTube channel. So it's like, oh, it's basically first impressions.
It sets
And
the tone.
I think
like it's
it
like
sets the tone.
expectations for what to expect. And that's another reason why
Mhm.
I loved it, because even again, like I said, even though I was there alive for less than 15 minutes, like
Yeah.
in a way, when you're thinking of like a, like say like a film, the beginning scene sets the tone for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
So to be quote unquote
It really
considered
does.
the opening kill, if you guys would say it in that way, it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you're being killed off and that's your screen time over. Because depending,
Yeah.
like, the episode is still, like, it's really well, like, viewed. And it's still being looked at today, I'm pretty sure. So if people can go back and watch something again and again, then that
Mhm.
shows just how good it was.
Oh my god. I get flustered easily.
I do
so
too.
Thank you for that.
I guess another question that I have been waiting to ask you, because you mentioned something about it when just talking in DMs generally. You portray someone on your channel, Rosalina the Alien.
Yes.
How,
Mhm.
what inspired, and as you said briefly, that's your persona that you created to help the story of Beasty Abandons, go more smoothly.
God.
Who is Rosalina the Alien to you? Like, what made you want to create this persona instead of being it yourself?
Oh, okay. It's really we're gonna go back in time for this, because I'd say this entire thing would come in about, I'd say, probably 2 years ago. I mean, I was generally just in my bedroom. I was thinking, just wanted to try something new, and wanted to, and it started off as like wanting to meet new people. So I was like, okay, maybe I would want to go by as like Rosalina at the moment. And it came to me as like, it is not really who I am, but for some reason it's just enjoyable to just be this person for a while.
Yeah.
And to get things clear, I only made Rosalina at first because I just wanted to just be silly. Like, the entire point was just to join games and act dumb and just be like, it literally is like, that's the entire point of just being that. But like, as time went on, it's like, wow, it's a character that I can make an entire like lore out of. Originally it's just really just as simple as just existing, but now it's just become this entire universe that you know just exists within Beastie Abandons. So Rosalina the Alien, to me, would I'd consider to be because it's literal, she is an alien, but
Yeah.
I'd call her, I refer to her as like an alien human clothing. I would probably say more, I mean, I do intend to animate or make some sort of like a lore sort of video that's completely unrelated to ETN, to be like, how did Rosalina land on Earth to begin with? Because it felt as if the origins of this character is pretty much is, to me, it feels mandatory to have this character have an origin of why they're here that explains their presence, you know. And I guess it would serve as like an introduction to my channel, but also it serves as like it serves as like an opening sort of video for people who want to know who is this person or who is this alien.
Yeah.
Because you know it's very weird. It's just it's weird, and I like weird stuff. So I'm just happy to know that, you know, it felt as if this character was calling to me. As corny as it sounds, it definitely felt as like it felt as if
I mean, isn't that
it was-
crazy? Because there's a bunch of YouTubers or content creators that, you know, like create personas themselves for a majority of reasons. So, like, you're not alone in the slightest. And if you want to create a persona, then that's completely up to you. The one thing I would ask though, the persona you're currently using with Rosalina the Alien, I believe in your Hixachu account, where Sweet Sorcery came from,
Yes.
originated, you did like this goodbye thing. Would that mean
Yeah.
you're bringing the self that you're currently speaking to me, like the self you're currently using to speak to me in, like your normal self? Is that the self you're going to continue as on the channel, or are you going to stick with Rosalina to keep like continuity?
I'm definitely gonna stick as Rosalina.
Yeah.
I have this entire like mindset that like in that Rosalina the Alien channel, sorry. I felt as if all the content uploaded there has to be related to the universe. I consider like the one I mean, being myself talking to you, to be like in a different universe than Rosalina. Like they both
Yeah.
have very different universes that they live in, and I love that. So, you know, everything that happens on Rosalina the Alien, it feels as if it should belong to Rosa and Rosa only, because as the saying goes, like it's Rosalina's world, and everyone that's appeared on the channel lives in it. So that's
Yeah.
the entire mindset I have been so lovingly going to for, and yeah, very much, and that's why we have two channels.
Yeah.
So to separate things, yeah.
It's really ironic that you say you want to keep everything within that one universe, because as you mentioned earlier, the characters or the cast, they were being characters, so it's kind of like saying those characters are only within your universe as well. Or are within Rosalina's universe. So it ironically, in a way, all came together, which is just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just you know, making your own universe. This says something about it is just really just magical. Like
Right.
I want to believe in the idea of magic, and storytelling is just one way of expressing the ideas and stories that someone has, you know, like just creating something by writing a book or anything. Just any form of just telling a story is enough to make you want to express the bubble that you're living in. And I always tell people this, that yes, sometimes I do live in my own bubble, and
It's not
it's
a bad
perfect
thing,
to stay
though.
here. It's not a bad thing at all. You're allowed to just like create your own miracles out of the smallest things, and that to me is just very just that to me is just very endearing for me to know, having to know that, you know, there's a lot of negative things that swirl around our real life, you know, in terms of like what's going on in our lives that we want to keep personal. But genuinely, I do think that simply just having an idea, having just the simplest ever storyline anyone can come up with is already a starting point to just making something as big as what probably the biggest ever story writers out there has.
Yeah.
And it's not shameful. Like a lot of people people like get embarrassed for like doing this. I am an 18-year-old doing this, and I'm happy as I'm not gonna swear. I'm really happy to have been doing this, even though by my age, a lot of people would consider it to be like, oh, you know, you're allowed to be doing this, doing that. I'll say, I just want to do my stuff, you know, and this is
Yeah.
already fine with me. Like, it's cool. Like, of course, we're going to aim for the highs in everything, and I'd love to be given opportunities if I can, but at this point in life, it's okay to take things your own way, and I do
Yeah.
truly believe that everyone's allowed to
It's like
think for themselves.
you want to
Yeah.
make the most out of every moment.
Mm-hmm. You really want to make the most out of every moment.
So going back to Beasty Abandons, what has been from what's been released so far to prevent things you don't want to say, to keep the audience on their feet still. What's been one of the best favorite moments or favorite deaths from the series, like of any favorite characters, anything like that?
Oh, okay. Favorite moment ever. I mean, there's a lot, because the series was very much edited in a way it's comedic. Like,
Comedic,
it's
yet
very
serious.
comedic. It's very, yes, comedic, serious yet unserious, but also serious. It's very much touching on the idea of, it's this but that, but also this. So it's complex, but it's interesting. So
Yeah.
I'd say my favorite moment would be which one? I think I really like when, whenever, spoiler alert, by the way, skip a few seconds forward if you don't want to hear this. I was upset whenever Lee died, because but like everyone was saying, well, Lee was robbed. I firmly believe that that is somewhat questionable, because when Lee started to call out Jocelyn for making alliances and having them target one another, Lee was right. But it's the fact that it comes to the topic of characterizations. Like, if you were to able to play a character so well, your strategies will work, and there's proof of it, because Jocelyn was playing this sort of persona where it's like, oh, I'm going to be the most like social person in this game. It is intact with her personality IRL, and is also very much advantageous to her when it comes to making decisions in the game, which is interesting to me, because it's a balance of the two. It's a balance of role playing. It's a balance of competitive side of the series. And I do love it when people strategize. I do love it when they do think for themselves and they do fight for their lives. And I do love it at the same time when they were able to balance the fact that they truly believe that they were going to die, even though it's Roblox. But I personally, I enjoyed that a lot as a creator, as someone who directed that scene in particular. I loved the drama they had, because a lot of drama was dumb, but it was funny, but it was also serious, And then, if we're talking about cast members, I mean, fan favorites are probably, Jupiter being one of the most robbed cast members. I know people were not happy with how Jupiter went.
Oh yeah.
That is really,
like a lot of people that you and I both know. They were like fuming. Like they were I think they were ready to go on strike.
Fuming.
They were ready to tie
I
themselves
would
to
go
a
to
tree.
calls. I would go to VCs and I would hear people yell at me. It was like, oh my god, Jupiter was stopped. And I was like, I am aware that Jupiter was very much spiked to death. And God, oh, they were not happy with that. But you know what? It happened. You know, it is what it is. And I'd say, you know, favorite death, I'd say it'd probably be Jupiter's or Dakota's. It's a toss up between those two. And overall, I just think the cast is very much, I'd say it's very much goofy. And I very much think they think the same way. Because everyone was in it to win it. But at the same time, it's not that serious. They were having fun. And I always get confused with how they were able to balance them both, because that would be a hard thing to do. But you know what? It happened. So
Like,
yeah.
It's evident that they wanted to be there, you know, because there are some projects I've seen. I'm not gonna say whose, but it feels like they're only there because they were casted to begin with, and it's not like they're actually going to enjoy being there. It's evident when watching Beasty Abandons that everybody wants to be there, and the reason why they're expressing themselves, taking the time to create these characters, is because they wanted to be there.
Oh, I love the shadiness. I love this.
It's not shade, like,
so
it's
much.
not a bad thing, but like.
Yeah. Yeah. I truly get that.
In terms of like the animated, you know, portion, obviously all your deaths canonly have been animated, or attempted deaths if we were to link back to episode 1. What was your favourite one to like watch be animated, if you did it or if someone else did it?
Oh, in terms of like what, deaths?
Yes.
Or like any animated scenes? Oh, deaths. Okay.
Deaths, animated scenes, and scenes that you wish were animated if you were to do it again.
Oh, episode 0, the fight scene. People were living for that. I know people were obsessed with how. Okay, I'm not gonna take credit. I did not animate that. My lovely animator friend Fern helped me out with providing a fight scene, which it was so good. And I genuinely think that, you know, everyone was truly shocked with seeing something that's, I'd say, was not really done a lot in terms of, you know, when we see Escape the Nights happen.
I love watching fight scenes. Like that sounds really bad, but like, considering how difficult they are to make it look realistic and make it look dramatic without being repetitive, you know?
Yeah. Like, to me, I believe that Escape the Nights seasons, fan-made ones, every single, we can't deny it, every single season that's been out there on YouTube, they each have their own unique representation of how they wanted to portray their own season, of how they want to display the events that happened. But I generally think that fight scene really brought it all together for episode 0. So to me, I think that was what sets the tone really, really well for the rest of the season, and it sets out what people were to expect when it comes to an episode of Beasty Abandons. So yeah, that was interesting.
What were like any other standouts? Or like moments that you wish that you could have that were animated?
I think I was happy with everything. I maybe some parts in episode. Oh, sorry.
You completely cut out.
Hey.
What episode you were talking about?
Anyway, maybe some parts in episode 0, maybe, but
oh my god, your mic hates you. We'll get there. Third time
anyway,
charm.
So Oh my god, I apologize.
That's
And so
alright.
this happens. You know, it happens to the best of us. Anyway, maybe some parts of episode 0 I could have animated, but overall I thought I was pretty satisfied with everything already, you know. Maybe I could have changed some animations here and there. That's why we have remasters where I remastered every single thing, but most of the remasters have always been like edits of just audios or like additions.
Yeah.
Because I released one episode 2 Death Remastered. It was
Yes, I
literally
saw
just me
that.
adding. Yeah, it was literally just added screaming. So yeah.
I guess what would have been
God.
interesting, like I'm not just saying this to toot my own horn, but it would have been interesting to see some sort of confrontation go down between myself and the ghost face before obviously that scream.
Yeah. For sure.
Which I feel like
Maybe
some
maybe
people in
you
the
could see
live
that.
chat like said something about like, oh, they wanted to see me fight the ghost face with a knife. A knife on knife
Yeah,
battle because you
there's a
gave
lot that happened in live chat.
because your character gave me the knife to use in case one of them attacked me, but I never got to use it, or so they say.
Yeah.
Or did I?
Honestly, that's. We'll have to find out.
I don't.
We'll have to find out. Yeah. Honestly, overall I thought animating was fun. Even though it was stressful and tiring.
It
The end
is.
result is always just so satisfying.
Let's see.
So, yeah,
If I had to pick
very
a
much grateful for
favorite
that.
death-based animation alone, I have two. Two of them stick out the most. The first one is Dakota's. Because obviously the whole getting dragged by the zombies and then you just like Dakota just slowly looking up to see the piano. It my first impression of watching the episode, I thought it was based off of Carrie.
Yeah.
You know, the lady that went to prom but then got doused with pig's blood.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was
I've
going to
heard
be
of
something
that.
like that. So I had the feeling that maybe, or someone suspected that due to the knife being stabbed in the woman's head, they were going to pull out the knife and then stab Dakota in the head or something like that. But
Yeah,
no,
interesting.
the piano was a good touch. Another one that sticks out
The
because
piano.
another one just sticks out because it was the first one we got to quote unquote saw was the quote unquote Rain's death. We got to see the animation firsthand and we got to see how, you know, how the characters actually had the choice to do certain decisions. It's like they couldn't just stand there and just accept it, because realistically if you were about to die, run. Like don't just stand still. So it's like when Rain started to literally run and you can see like Rain being desperate, bashing on the door that was locked. And you could hear it in his voice, like he was terrified. So voice acting was great. And all of a sudden, and then you just see like him getting cornered and pinned against the door. I was like, great, thank God that ain't me. So then all of a sudden, Jack looks aside and pans to see a hammer and this whacks him. The doctor, not Rain.
Yeah. And I've always had this like issue. Like, if you are in an escape the night, and if I were to be in an escape the night, I'm about to, die, I would do anything. I would do anything I can to live, because I'm not letting my death be caused by just some monster back in the 80s. No, I'm not gonna let that happen to me. So I'll be fighting for my goddamn life. Sorry. So yeah.
Which is why I like looking at the canon deaths. I respect the ones that end at like attempt to run away. For example, Justine. If you were about to be buried alive, don't just, like, you know, wave the white flag and accept your fate. Like, you can, like,
get a knife.
Exactly, get a knife, or, like, so which is why it's like whenever I'm in a project or like any kind of escape the night or like even an anticipation, which you know I'm talking about, I'm someone that does not go down until my last breath.
And I've seen that.
Like, I remember very distinctively.
I've definitely
Like, you remember anticipation, it was my execution because I was revealed as a sacrifice. I had to fight my character's biggest fear, which was end up being the warden that ended up raising her. And this will probably be like, everyone's like, what the heck are you talking about? I'll make a whole separate thing about that in the future. But basically, it's like a Danganronpa themed roleplay. My character was the ultimate hit woman, and she was raised kind of like how Maki was in Danganronpa V3. So, and she had to fight the warden. When I tell you, there were many times where, like, the amount of times she got attacked or ambushed or stabbed or sliced, she'd been turned into like Swiss cheese. Like, it felt like she was Swiss cheese, and that was stab wound she had at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're very well known to get stabbed. Very much so.
Wow.
And I mean, yeah, it's happened to you quite a lot.
In different like scenarios, yeah. But that's the thing, like, not a single death canonly in your Escape the Night, as far as to my knowledge, it hasn't involved being stabbed. Not yet, at least.
No, not yet.
Like, yes, you could argue the ghost faces and how I got, you know, I'm dead, but that's just like a ghost face. Like, you know, that's just what the quote unquote one of the two masterminds had on them. But when it comes to like what, like, you have the attempted being poisoned by like this massive injection, you have being Teddy's death lifted up into the air.
Teddy's death.
And then, like, did they get like crushed, like thrown down? Or are they hit with something?
Thrown down with very they were thrown down with very like high velocity. Like, Jesus. I'm talking about if you were to be smashed to the ground at the speed of a plane taking off, I'd probably say that fast.
Wow.
God, it was so brutal.
And then you have Lee, who got put like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say betrayed, but like their platform started shaking and vibrating, and they ended up falling into lava by hitting their head. Then it was Jupiter, got spiked and impaled by like thorny vines. Then it was Jack, who ended up being turned into an ice sculpture, essentially. Then it was Then it was Dakota, as to explain, getting basically attacked by a herd of zombies. And I think, canonically, those are the only ones that have been shown so far. I think, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, also, probably, I do plan on remastering Jack's death, because it is. I mean, he did get turned into that. I have mentioned that. My idea, I didn't have time to animate it fully, but my original idea was supposed to be like, and I don't mind saying this now, but I was supposed to have it so that he does get frozen, but he gets frozen in a way that he, the Lady of Ice lifts Jack up in the air in his frozen state, and that completely smashes him to the floor, which is hard. If you want to animate something like that, you would have to rely on Blender physics if you want to have to, but I'm willing to do that if it means having a gory death, so I have to figure something out.
Not just that, but when it comes to like that, when it happens, are you gonna have like the process of him being frozen to death even slower? to have like he's trying to like fight off the
Yeah.
ice?
I probably would, because there was definitely a lot of planned things that did not make the final cut, which is gonna be remastered. So yeah, thank God for remastered versions.
So we are slowly getting to the end of this, which is very sad. But are there any final questions you have for me? If not, I have one final question for you.
What are the questions? Okay, you've pretty much, we're going to, I only need you to answer it in a very simplistic way.
Oh no.
And you've actually been a part of like, of the future episodes in one way or another. How about this? Which future episode, just say the number,
Okay.
are you most hoping for the viewers to be, like, do you think the viewers should be most excited for?
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to say. Oh, you did not need to do that to me. I'm gonna say 10. I know it's a few episodes away, you guys, but when you see it, the wait will be worth it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. So yeah, stay tuned for episode 10. Even though there's 12
Obviously,
episodes.
also episode
But
8. But I'm a bit more excited about episode 10.
yeah. What's your question for me?
My final question for you is, what can the viewers expect from you in the future? Like, what are your future plans? Like, what's next for Rosalina the Alien, or Lucifer, or Saint Story? Like, what's next for you?
I would. There's definitely more to talk about when it comes to Rosalina, because
Right.
it's a world I want to continue expanding, but I definitely want to get started on like working on like Lucifer's character a bit more. But other than that, if you were to if you have stuck with my Hexature era, I'm gonna bring back some old OCs back that everyone loved at one point. So we'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what will happen.
We'll see what will happen. Well, I'm sad to say, but we have finally made our way to the end of the forest. Lucifer, I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to this podcast to me. It was absolutely incredible getting to know you as Rosalina, as Lucifer, getting people to understand more about Beasty Abandons, stuff you've done in the past. It was just incredible.
I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Let me know in the comments, you guys, who do you think I should invite to the podcast next? Who should I walk and talk to the forest with next? Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you'll have a good day. Thank you again so much, Lucifer, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay.
Bye.